when we start talking about this UFO stuff and why it's beginning to come out now, look, I'm going to make a controversial statement. We have always been contending with these things, and they have been around for a very, 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 very long time. But something is different this time. We have this recent article that manifested in Newsweek that gained a lot of national attention, and it got pretty crazy. The article was actually entitled, UFO Reverse Engineering Project Should Be Made Public. That was a statement that a whistleblowing ex-Intel official actually shared. And it's interesting because when you look at some of the footage that he's talking about needs to be released and the reverse engineering projects that are taking place, you begin to realize very quickly that the enemy is using what has been standard military operations that a lot of people don't know about to bring some information out in the open so that people will begin to develop a more palatable excuse for why Christians will be raptured. This is like a major thing. And I want to preface everything I'm saying by simply saying this. What we're doing here, folks, is not designed to fearmonger, right? We are not trying to get people to be scared by bringing these facts out. Rather, we are trying to offer you peace because we know what the solution is. The solution is found in our Creator. He gave us a solution. If he didn't have this stuff under control, he wouldn't have told us it was coming. Yeah. He wouldn't have had the capacity to tell us that it was coming. So I wanted to say that in the midst of all this, because the conversation we're about to have is probably going to get a little darker. But the reality of it is we have a God that's in complete and total control. And I think that's something that we have to remind everybody of.
So let's talk about that, man. This whole UFO thing. I think a lot of it, honestly, is technology that is out there that it's these black programs. It's the things that people don't know exist. Keep in mind, too, when you're in a classified program, it's a need to know basis. So people that are outing, coming out and saying, oh, we were tracking this, and they're showing, FLIR footage, and you see this thing darting across the sky and they're tracking it. Even if you're in the military and you're tracking something like that, you don't know that there are other things in the military that have been developed. And so that is one of the big key things that I will tell you. There's technology stuff that our government is developing and has developed, and they are now perfecting, that is way beyond the imagination of most people in our society, right?
Yeah, I would agree with you, Monkey.
Yeah.
And we've talked about how this works. We have a lot of people that have been read into special ops technology programs who have come back to us and said, I can't talk about it. I can't, say a word about it. I can't, any of that. And they hold to it like the letter of the law. They are just perfect about it. But just the thought of the things that they have been exposed to makes them sick to their stomach. These guys won't even look in the general direction of stuff that they've been read into. And the reason why they won't even look at it, the reason why they won't breathe about it, talk about it, imply it, any of that kind of stuff, is because they understand the full implications of what it is that they're working on. And they also understand the fact that the stuff is so beyond the capacity of most human beings to contemplate or understand that the average person would literally their brains would fry. We are living in a world where all of this is prominent, and in that prominence, you are going to start to find explanations for why things like the rapture have happened and why many of the things that we know are going to happen are happening. And I think that that's a very important point to bring out. When we start talking about this UFO stuff and why it's beginning to come out now, look, I'm going to make a controversial statement. Yeah. And the statement, I think, is some people will meet it with some controversy. Some people will say, James, you're nuts. But all these guys like Art Bell and all of these guys over the years that have been talking about UFOs and all of this, here's the thing. And I think I should make this clear. It's never been different. We have always been contending with these things, and they have been around for a very, 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 very long time. Matter of fact, the United States has been perhaps one of the greatest propagators of technology like this. And they've been around for a very, very long time. But something is different this time. Because back then, they gave no credibility to anybody that talked about UFOs. If you talked about UFOs, you were a kook. That was the thing. It's like, well, you're a nut. You're talking about UFOs. Come on. And they'd make fun of you and that kind of thing. And if you wanted to talk about Area 51, if you were to talk about that, or you were to talk about anything else, you were a kook. Like, why is anybody listening to you? Now you go to the mainstream, and in mainstream media, they're having conversations about UFOs.
Southern Nevada is abuzz tonight with stories about the crash of an unknown object.
The video shows a green flash across the sky. There it is.
The House Oversight Committee is in the beginning stages of planning a hearing on UFOs.
And they're lending credibility to these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to tell you what I think, and maybe you can help me with this. Maybe you can, and if you disagree, I want you to openly disagree with me on this because it's worthy of having a conversation. I don't think we're just dealing with military technology, although an overwhelming majority of what people are seeing right now is undoubtedly military technology, specifically unmanned military technology. I'm certain of that. But I also think that demons are working very, very, very hard to deceive people. Mm-hmm. Into actually thinking that things are what they aren't, and getting them to believe a lie to prepare their minds for the palatableness of being able to witness something like the rapture of the church.
It's think of it like this. If you're playing a video game, you've never played video games before, right? And you're in a first person shooter thing, and you start shooting people and you see some blood on the screen. Your first initial blush is that you are shocked by what you're witnessing. You're thinking this is so violent. But the more you play it, the more you become A, addicted to it, but B, you become numb to what you've been watching. It's the same thing. It's no different than when we see these folks rolling out some crazy looking AI stuff or holograms at concerts, or when we start to watch different things be put in front of us. This is what they're doing, is they're conditioning us so that when all of this stuff comes, that people will just look at it like it's no big deal. I think somebody up high in one of the three top elite groups that we've talked about before, right, have basically decided it's time to introduce their demons. And that's what I think is going on. They are basically pushing out for the rest of the world to see it. They're doing it in video games. They're doing it in a lot of different things. And I think that's what we're seeing here is now you may go, well, that's kind of strange. That doesn't really, like, how would people see that and not recognize it? But remember, the Bible talks about Satan being actually a beautiful angel. So even if not everything is to your eyes going to be, disgusting and evil, and you're gonna look at things, because you don't have that ability to see it for what it really is, and you're going to be desensitized to it.